In this video, we're going to give you an overview of MPLAB X IDE's major functionality. So, what to find where to find help, and some quick tips on how to find your way around the IDE. Let's dive in. After installing MPLAB X, the first time the IDE is opened, you will come to the Learn and Discover page. If you click on Getting Started with MPLAB X IDE, you can see a fairly detailed hands-on training of covering the major aspects of the IDE under the Getting Started and under Users Guides and Release Notes. Here you can find user guides of the IDE itself, or you can find that here, or find out which debug features are supported for the specific device. For example, the PIC16F18446 is used in a series of advanced debugging and breakpoints with MPLAB X IDE, and here you can see the hardware feature support for this particular device. Or the features supported in the simulator. So after the first time, when you typically open the IDE, you'll see the My MPLAB X IDE. You can log in and see the MPLAB X store and view development tools. Next, what you'll typically see is, if I expand the various other areas of the IDE, here we have a Projects and Files tab. The Projects tab is what the makefile knows about in the project. I could add a new C source file, and here I can see that I cannot delete here, but I can remove it from the project, whereas it will still be on the Files tab because this is a view of the files as on my disk. So here I'll be able to delete the file. The project dashboard exposes many of the decisions you made as you created the project, such as the compiler and the part number, which all together represent a project configuration. You are able to add multiple configurations, which is covered in a more advanced video. And if I had to plug in a kit window will give me links to some of the important documents associated with the kit. Here I can get an overview of the kit and see which pins connect so that I can use them with the data visualizer, etc., or drag and drop programming. For example, here I can quickly find out which pin my LED and button are connected to. On the output window, we also get a notification from the kit, and here we will see the build output. On the top here we have the main toolbar of the IDE, and here I can, for instance, toggle major functionality on and off. Here I'm adding a performance indicator to see how much of the allocated RAM the IDE is using, and for instance I can customize this, and I like to have an erase button. And as you start typing, you'll be able to see certain buttons appearing, and I can drop it onto the toolbar. And when the Customize Toolbar window is open, I can drag buttons off to remove them. And once I have selected the particular kit, for instance, I could refresh debug tool status. Note that the main toolbar is context sensitive, so if I start a debug session, I now have debug commands. If I toggle in the glyph margin, I set a breakpoint, and here I have an error bar which gives an overview of any particular errors I have in a file. The quick search bar will search all menus and submenus, so I could open most windows from here. For instance, if I wanted to open the Breakpoints window, which we can see is under Window Debug. Whereas if I search in the How Do I, Here I search developer help and I can see a list of information about different types of breakpoints. Data breakpoints are one of my favorite. All the different types of breakpoints are covered in a series on MPLAB X Advanced Debugging. If I open a file such as uart1.c, the Navigator window is very useful for me, and I can double click on any particular function and redirect there. And so here I get an overview of all the functions in a file. Note that the project in bold is a main project, so all the actions of the toolbar will act on that project. If I had a number of different projects open, what I would tend to do is go to Tools, Options, Appearance, and select multi-row tabs and same background color from files for the same project. Here I would see grouping of files by which project they are part of. A quick tip for those of you who like to use keyboard shortcuts. Here are a list of all the keyboard shortcuts which you can assign yourself, for example all of those used for setting and debugging type shortcuts. In the next video we'll cover the editor features of MPLAB X IDE.